Hello and welcome to this World Electrolysis Congress pre-event interview. I'm joined by Nicole Vermuelen, Chief Industrial Officer at Hy24. So, hello, welcome.
Hello, and thank you. My pleasure to be here.
So, could you give some insight into your background and the role Hy24 play in the hydrogen market?
Yeah, of course, sure. So my background is in the energy sector, where I've spent the majority of my career, so the last 20 years, in all facets. So it was in solar and wind, in oil and gas, as well as in green hydrogen, mostly in large-scale projects from the early on feasibility phase until later on the execution and operations and maintenance. So the majority of my time within Shell, also in the large-scale projects there. I work with Hy24 since the last year and a half. And Hy24 is the largest low-carbon hydrogen private equity asset manager. And we invest in the full value chain of the hydrogen economy with the intent to help the scale up of this economy. To date, we have already done 9 investments in various countries across several regions, so that being in MENA, Asia Pacific, as well as in Europe and US. We've invested in, for example, Stegra, which you may know, which used to be a H2 Green Steel, as well as in Hy24, which is a taxi fleet company here in Paris, and various other companies. So really on the full value chain. And in Hy24, I lead the asset management. So basically, I look after the companies after the investment have been done.
Okay, brilliant. So quite wide berth of the industry then.
Yes, correct.
Brilliant. So given your experience, what are the current challenges you've seen in the market?
Challenges enough, as we all know, but let's break it down at least to the 4 main considerations that we see in the market right now. So first of all, there will be no new industry without the existing industry. And so that means that industries like steel, cement, aviation sector, etc., they're all part of this ecosystem, and these value chains really complement each other. So what we should do is we should preserve and maintain our industrial heritage here and leverage on these to build forward. And then secondly, Europe's pragmatism regarding regulations. I'm actually mostly targeting my answer now around Europe. So Europe is very ambitious, and it ranks, I think, among the most advanced regions when it comes to putting up these constraints for these industrial players. However, it lags a bit behind in implementation of these regulations. So that means that these support mechanisms are not always transposed quickly enough at a national level. And without having these national support systems in place, it creates a lot of uncertainties in the markets. And that means that the risks become higher for project developers as well as investors, etc. And it's really needed that we get a more clear and stable environment around that. And thirdly, what we are facing here in Europe is, of course, the crisis that we are facing in the heavy industry linked to the energy cost, which is caused by the war in Ukraine eventually. And it means that we have higher energy costs than when we look at other regions such as China and US, etc. And we are quite dependent, of course, on the gas production from Russia. So that has caused this higher energy prices. And then fourthly, as we all know, is the timing aspect. So we've seen all these announcements in the last couple of months of delays or projects being cancelled, etc. And I think it's important that we keep thinking about this in a bigger context. So we're trying to achieve now in a very short time frame, which other energy sources have taken years to accomplish. So if we look, for example, at LNG, it took 50 years to build this. We're looking at, for example, nuclear energy. It took also years to get to a significant level. And now we're trying to do in a very short time frame, which other energy sources have taken 150 years to do. So I think we need to be a bit more patient and realize that this also will take time to fully establish.
Okay, thank you again. So yes, you touched on sort of regulatory outlook, geopolitical sort of shocks to energy systems. It's quite difficult, but what sort of challenges, or how could we negate these sort of challenges as an industry?
Sorry, how can we?
Sorry, negate. Sorry. So, like, how can we manage these challenges as an industry?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So first of all, we need to, of course, get get these regulations transposed on a national level. And if we look at Hy24, what we're trying to do, so we have actually our own regulatory team as well, sitting in Brussels and here in Paris, and is actively involved in this policy making, being part of industry bodies, etc., to help influence those. And I think that's what we should do with the full industry.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And sort of final question is, in this environment, how do you see the market for hydrogen equipment and technologies evolving?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you look at all the project announcements that have been made and all the projects that are currently being in development, and if you want to meet the targets that have been set, it actually means that we need 100-fold of the current equipment that is available in the market by 2030. So if you translate these numbers, that means that that we expect to reach 190 billion US dollar market by 2030. So that is gigantic. And actually, that's also why we are raising currently for our second fund, which is a growth fund focused on equipment only, which will really should help to develop and help mature these companies in this play, because this is a significant part that needs to also develop and grow.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Nicole. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
And yeah, thank you to the audience for listening. For anyone looking to meet Nicole and then other experts, please feel free to join us in Cologne from February 10th to 13th next year. Hopefully we get to see you there. Thank you.